Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Diamonds in the sunset, now your time has come. A pretty yellow bird fly away into the sun. Don't look down.
All right, 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Mary Britt is here from the Ocala Civic Theater. We're going to give away some tickets to the theater. We're also going to encourage you to buy some gift certificates for the theater. And we're speaking about a new contest called I Did, and Mary's going to help us understand what that is. And Mary, you are the executive director of the Ocala Civic Theater.
Yes.
And it is a Broadway theater. Remember, Robin went to New York. I think we had this discussion with you somewhere. We bumped into you, remember?
Yes.
Where were we? Where did we see you? Good morning, Mary.
Oh,
How
I
you?
think we were at FAFO. Yeah. The art show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, so good morning, Mary. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
A formal introduction. Yeah, Robin went to New York. She went and had the tour. The tour guide explained that what is Broadway is a theater with 500 seats or more. Mm-hmm. And you guys have?
400.
Oh,
so we would be off Broadway.
So you're off Broadway. Okay.
And off, I think, is less than 100. So if you have 99 seats or less, then you'd be off Broadway.
That's WOCA. Okay. We got less than 100.
Yes. Very intimate.
Yes, very intimate. Are you a performer? I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Are you an actress?
Oh, once upon a time. That's actually how I got involved with Ocala Civic Theater. I had moved here after I'd graduated from the University of Florida, and I saw an ad in the newspaper for they wanted a cast of 40 for HMS Pinafore, and I figured that if they needed 40 people, they couldn't be too particular. And then that I might have a chance of getting in. And I did get cast and enjoyed the people that I met and just the aura that the theater has. Everybody's there volunteering for a purpose. They're having a good time, but also it provides a great service for the community and gives them an outlet for their artistic. And then I migrated a little bit more toward the administrative side. I served on the board of directors for a couple of years. And then as we were moving into the new building, I was doing more of that and less performing, probably much to the joy of the audience. Because we have a lot of people who sing and act much better than I do. Right now, my acting is confined to doing curtain speeches.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well.
Thank you.
But you are a great ambassador, because every time my mom and I go to the theater, you're always in the lobby. You're always mingling with all of the people that go there. You just make everybody feel at home, like this is their home.
Oh, well, thank you. We try. I mean, I was looking to, actually, I used this phrase the other day, so I was trying to go look up the quote to see who originated it. Because I've heard it in several different versions, and it turns out it's Confucius. But Confucius say, if you find a job that you love, you'll never work a day. And that's what I feel like my relationship is with the theater, that yes, it's my job, but the people that I interact with and the talent, I mean, the volunteers that come and work on stage as actors, and even the ushers and the box office, everybody working together in the costume shop, it makes it fun. And it's different every day, which appeals to me. I mean, I don't know that I'd do well in a job where there was a lot of repetition, but every single show is different. You have a different cast. We have a different director might do the same show in a different manner than we did it 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
But anyway, it's exciting, and we're a very large theater, so we get to interact a lot with other community theaters around the country, which helps. I just got back from a conference where there were 50 theaters represented from all around the United States.
Oh, wow. I wonder what the common challenges are for theaters, and you've probably...
Money.
Money?
Fundraising.
Oh, money.
Yeah,
Money's a big one, right?
Yeah. Well, all of us are trying to make sure that the tickets are affordable for our community. So ticket sales generally don't cover all the cost of producing a show and maintaining a building and so forth. So we're frequently looking for fundraisers or ways to communicate to individuals what our mission is, and encourage them to donate. And then with businesses, especially a city like Ocala, I've lived here now for almost 30 years, and it is just such an amazingly warm and philanthropic town. I mean, the huge turnout for the food drive, and there's a lot of people that live here that really care about making sure that the community is open and welcoming.
Do you have it? Here's the challenge I'm wondering if you have. The challenge of wanting to do something that's a little bit out of the box and nobody's ever heard of, but everybody at the theater would love to do it, as opposed to something that's a recognizable name. I mean, because if money is one of the key challenges, then the choice of shows has to be based on money, right?
In a large extent. And it is a challenge. Usually what we'll do is we'll make sure that we have on the schedule some things that are recognizable. And then also in that package, maybe one or two that we feel like our audiences would enjoy, but they might not recognize the title of it. But we do have to make sure that we've got those that we know are going to be good sellers, like Les Miserables,
Right.
where we know that people will recognize it and come. The biggest challenge, it's sort of the catch-22, is that if you know it's not going to sell as many tickets, we put it generally in our Ovation series. But then if it only runs 2 weeks, it doesn't have time to build word of mouth. So, and a perfect example is the children's production we did last weekend. It only ran 4 performances, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was a wonderful show, Tales of Hans Christian Andersen, very family-friendly. But with this time of year, there's a lot of competition for other things happening. The name recognition, Hans Christian Andersen, I would think that people would certainly remember. Actually, he's the one that originated several things that Disney's ended up doing, like Little Mermaid and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
But also The Emperor's New Clothes and, some stories like that. So trying to encourage people to come and give it a chance if they don't recognize the title. The students did a great job. The audiences that came really enjoyed it. It was an original adaptation that our education director had written several years ago, and so this is the second or third production that's been done of that. But it's trying to balance making sure that it's a combination of making sure we have shows on the schedule that people will recognize and want to see, and then putting ones on. It seems to be less important for a non-musical. In the description, if it describes it as being a comedy and it's funny and it gives you a little storyline, then people, I think, are more willing to take a chance. We've had some interesting things happen with the only 2 shows that we've sold out before we opened, before the first performance, were Cats and Grease.
Oh, really?
And in those cases, they're not buying our production. They're buying their memory of having seen it someplace else, or they love the movie, or they know the music.
Yes.
And so, they may get there and our show is not what they were thinking.
Right.
We're always going to try to do the best that we can. But with Les Miserables, it was interesting because we expected the same thing to happen. We sold 1,200 tickets in one day to Cats, the first day it went on sale. But it was kind of Les Miserables was a slow seller, and we thought, certainly people would recognize it.
Was the movie out yet at that time?
Yes, it was actually playing opening night on television.
Okay.
So I think part of it had to do with the market was pretty saturated. It's toured for, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And then the movie came out and had a lot of publicity. That's probably why they actually started to license it. There's a 3-year window where they're licensing it to other companies, because prior to that, you weren't able to get permission to do the show. But what really sold it for us was word of mouth, because once the show opened, we had about 300 empty seats the first week out of 1,600 available. But once the show opened and the word of mouth really spread in Ocala, that the cast we had, all volunteers, every one of them was just amazing. And
It was outstanding, the whole thing.
And so people started talking about it. I love Dave Schlenker's column where he said that it was getting as much buzz in the community as the sheriff's budget.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dave's
that's great,
He
yeah.
always nails everything. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
As far as
And in
reviews.
the end, we ended up selling a little over 10,000 tickets, which made it the
Oh, wow, that's great.
biggest seller we've ever had.
Oh, really? All from one. See, that's good. So now, not that it has to do with the Civic Theater, but just your finesse with theater in general, and what you just said. The other day when The Sound of Music was on TV, I didn't watch it, but Robin was in here and Galen, from Life South was in here, and they both had seen it. Robin won't say something bad about something ever, but she did about this one. She didn't like it. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Did you get any feedback from other people in theater?
I had some feedback, and I had seen some on Facebook where people were complaining.
So do you think, and of course without having seen it, maybe you can't answer this, but do you think it was because it was different than the movie, or do you think it was really poor?
I don't know. I mean, as far as that question, I couldn't answer it without watching it. I think what happens a lot, and not just for this show, but producers are so concerned about making sure that they break even, at least, if not make a profit. They have turned to having more recognizable names, either television or film, and in this case, country music. I mean,
Right.
Carrie Underwood is just huge in country music. Fill in the major roles. And this has been happening for years, but it's more prominent now. I mean, poor Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates has won Tonys and been nominated
she's
for all
wonderful.
But every time they make a movie of a play that she's been in, they change it to somebody else. Cherry Jones also. But in this case, I mean, each one of the... I don't think you could take a lot of the major musical theater stars and have them deliver a country music song the way Carrie Underwood does. I mean, there's certain skills that are required for each of
Okay.
those.
Right.
They're all talented, but finding people that fit right for the show. Now, the other thing that people tend to be surprised at is that the stage version is different than the movie. And if that's what they were complaining about, if they were expecting to see the movie, what they were actually producing was the stage version.
Right, exactly. I don't think that was the issue. I think
No,
it was the acting and the coldness of the characters, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what Robin and Galen said, that they didn't believe them.
Yeah. The only thing that I had seen in advance, because, like I said, I haven't seen the movie, but the publicity photos that they had of her in costume, I'm not sure when she wore that dress, the light blue with the little puffy white sleeve.
Right.
But it looked like she was advertising Swiss Miss
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what it looked like. Yeah,
Well, and in
Bridget
both,
was turning over at that scene.
well, and in both the play and the movie, she appeared. Did she show up in that initially? Because she appears in clothing that in both formats say that the poor didn't want.
Yeah,
That what they had left to wear when they sent her out to go work for the captain was, things that had been donated to the Abbey, but the poor didn't want it. So she's really not supposed, especially because you want to see some transformation for her. But I don't know.
yeah,
Did
but
she
it
wear that
wasn't.
all
It
the
wasn't
time?
tattered or anything like that. It looked too neat and pressed and
Yeah.
tailored.
And it should look very
Oh,
plain.
see, I didn't even know that part
Yeah,
of the
It should look
story.
very plain.
No,
well,
it
and
had
also the
little-
way they had her hair done, it was very alpine, but
Yeah, but it was braidy
Not
and it
sure.
was just not.
I'm not sure.
Just
Huh,
not true to the character.
But I did see several comments about the fact that, it did reach an enormous audience. And if that encourages somebody to maybe go see a show at the theater, then
Everybody
that's
but
a
you
great-
and me. I didn't see it in unison. All right,
I
so-
still haven't seen the movie of Les Mis.
I haven't either. I only recently learned that's how you say it, Les Mis. I kept going Les Miserables.
Oh, yes. The box office got all kinds of interpretations when people called for tickets.
All right, Mary Britt is here, and we kind of went on a big tangent right there. But let's talk about the the I Did contest. What is that?
Yes. Right when everybody comes back from the holidays, we open our next show, which is called I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do.
Okay.
Which originally came out in the 60s on Broadway with Mary Martin and Robert Preston. And it tells the story of a husband and wife who have been married for 50 years. It's a musical. Matter of fact, the best-known song from the show is My Cup Runneth Over, which was done at weddings for years in the 60s and 70s.
Can you give us a sample? How's that go?
Oh, you don't want to hear me sing. It would be painful.
My cup runneth over.
Yeah, my cup runneth over with love.
If you gave us some,
If you knew Perry Como, I mean, it's that kind of era.
really, and it's
where-
at weddings.
Well, they did for a long time because what they're talking about is I'm so blessed.
Okay.
To have found my, soulmate,
Right,
the person
right.
that I will be married to. But anyway, it follows them from their wedding night, when they're 18 or 19 years old, all the way through their 50th wedding anniversary. And it's a great show that still gets done a lot. Matter of fact, it ran for 22 years at a theater outside of Minneapolis. With the same cast,
Wow.
actually, same two people.
22
It's normally written for two characters, but through some connections that we've made over the years, Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt, who also wrote The Fantastics, have created a slightly new version where you have a different couple that comes in as the couple ages. So there's
Oh.
actually now 4 couples instead of 2, but they're all
Really?
playing the same 2 characters. So you start off with the young couple,
Oh,
and then
wow.
as they get a little bit older, we have 2 other actors that come in who are playing those same 2 characters, but at an older age.
Oh, wow.
And then as they age, another couple comes in. And then finally, you have a couple who are in their early 70s who sing the final song, This Was a Great House. It all takes place in the
Oh, wow.
one location, and then all the couples will come out and they'll do a little reprise. So they're adding a song back into it that was cut from the original. So there'll be one song that the audience won't be familiar with. And then they're adding a reprise at the end of My Cup Runneth Over, which is done by all 4 of the
Wow, that
sets
sounds
of
sweet,
actors.
actually.
So one of the things we thought might be fun to do, knowing our audience, was to encourage people who are married 50 years or more to the same person. Yes, we have had inquiries if you can add up the years you've been married to different people. But no, this is 50 years to the same person. We encourage you to enter our contest. It doesn't cost anything to enter. But you need to send us information on one of 3 topics. One, we either want to hear about the engagement, how did he propose, or the wedding. Or you can tell us what your secret is for a long marriage. And the last thing would be to just, if there was some interesting anecdote that you'd like to share. So we've had some entries already, and the deadline is December 20th. And what we're going to do is pull 10 names, 10 couples, because there are 10 performances. So there'll be a couple featured at each of the performances,
Oh, how nice.
Oh, nice.
who all of which will be married 50 years or more. And they're going to get dinner out, and ladies will have some flowers, and a photographer will take a photo of them, not necessarily at the show, but we'll do a portrait for them. And as I said, they'll be featured at the performance. So we'd encourage any of the listeners that either you can enter someone else, you can nominate someone else, or you can nominate yourself. But you know that we have a lot of people in the area who've been married 50 years or more.
Yeah.
So we would love to see as many entries as we can get. And I actually encourage people to come and see the show. Marriage sometimes is ups and downs. They make you say for better or for worse. So the play is very realistic. Talks a lot about how do you make it through the rough patches and
Right.
the work that you are required to do to make a successful marriage, but that it's all worth it. So it's an upbeat musical. I do think that people will enjoy it very much.
Is it funny?
There are definitely some funny parts.
Any parts?
Like I said, it all takes place in the one bedroom of the house that they have bought. And
Really?
then it ends
Wow.
when they're moving out of the house and a new young couple has bought the house. But we might get a visit from Tom Jones.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yes.
Now,
We've-
when you say Tom Jones, not the entertainer, right? Okay.
no.
okay.
And we do have
Spandex
to,
pants.
yes. Yeah, nobody's going to be throwing lingerie onto the stage. No, he and Harvey Schmidt wrote The Fantastics. They wrote I Do, I Do. They wrote the musical version of The Rainmaker, which is called 110 in the Shade. And had been, actually the way it came about is that a theater off Broadway had done a retrospective of some of his works, and the artistic director for that theater comes to Ocala once a year and designs a set for us because he's also a very well-known set designer, and besides being a director. So anyway, he had been talking to Tom Jones, who wanted to try this new version, and he didn't want to do it in New York. It's very expensive, and also the critics are pretty harsh when you want to try to do something a little different. And so Jim Morgan recommended us, and we're very honored that
Wow.
he agreed to let a community theater in Ocala, Florida, be the one to premiere it. He has talked about publishing it and then making it available to other companies to do this version, and wants to do a little off-Broadway production of it as well.
Yeah, I had seen it years ago at Six Gun Territory when they had the Gaslight and Velvet Dinner Theater, and it was really outstanding when it was just with the two people. So I'm looking forward to seeing this version.
And even with 4 couples, there will have to be some aging that happens on stage in front of the audience, because as they progress through, I mean, you're actually going through little scenes of what happens during their long marriage. But it's very charming. I mean, it's a wonderful sort of nod. It actually starts, they're married in 1898. So it is a period piece. But I think it's a lovely show. It's only going to run 2 weeks, so we encourage people. The tickets went on sale today, actually, so we encourage you to come. I think it'll be a nice evening out. And
the 4 I do's in the title are because of the 4 couples?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, when we first started talking about it with Tom Jones, he was envisioning 6 couples as a different couple then as each scene came on, where they got older and older. And then through the process, we've gone down to 4. So
oh wow! So you have the cast already set?
Yes, we just did auditions about a little over a week ago.
Any names that we know? I mean, do we have? I know there are names that, because Robin always comes back from the play. She brings us the program, and she faces the names we know. So I mean, it does. The theater does create local celebrities.
Oh yes,
out of
definitely. There's a lot of people who will remark that. They're coming to see a particular show because they enjoyed that actor in another performance. I don't think I brought the cast list with me. I do know, though, that the young man that played Marius in Les Miserables is playing one of the husbands.
Nice.
Yes, he's got a lovely voice. And then Jasmine Henry is the young bride. And she just won several superiors at the district competition that was last weekend at CF.
Oh, wow.
And so and she's been in shows before, but this will be the most featured role for her. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing her in this. And then Will Winter was one of the college revolutionaries in Les Mis. And he's in the show. I'm not going to remember everybody's name, though, which means I'm going to get into trouble when I get back to the office. But we do. Well, speaking of that, we have a newsletter that we send once a month.
Yes.
And it's free. We can either send it to people by regular mail or email. So if you're interested in finding out what's coming up, and maybe you don't recognize the title and you want to see what the show is about, that's a great way to find out what's coming up. And so, all you have to do is call the theater and let them know, or send us an email if you'd like to get it by email, and then we'll put you on that list.
What you do is absolutely wonderful, because you're out there in the beginning before the production begins. And at the end, when everything's done, some of the cast will come out because the people like to intermingle with the cast. But then you also feature artwork or photography or something on your wall during each of the performances. How does a person go about applying for something like that to be featured? Because that's always nice to look at everything and know what talent is in our community.
If an artist is interested, they should send me an email directly or phone the theater and ask for me. We only have maybe 11 exhibits during the year, 10 or 11. And a couple of them are groups, like Ocala Art Group has traditionally done an exhibit in the probably February slot, and their members then will get together and they'll jury a show that we'll put up. And we've used the Nature Coast group before. We just had Maggie Weekly.
Yeah, I like her stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
She does just such a delightful lot of animal prints, and she does a beautiful, beautiful job. And then prior to that, we had a photography exhibit by Randall Mooring, who does a lot of outdoor photography. And since he is a great boater as well, that's not the right word, I don't think, but you get a lot of shots that a lot of times people don't see, because if he's in his kayak in the river, he can get those up close, really wonderful nature shots. So it gives us kind of a glimpse into what it's like living in this
right,
part of
right.
the state.
And you had also featured Dave Schlenker's photography.
Yes. Dave
Yeah.
has the most amazing knack for capturing. I mean, he does a lot of different topics well, but he does wonderful photography of people, wonderful portraits. I mean, he captures that moment, that's really the essence of that person.
Yeah.
And it's everything. He did a project for, I'm not sure what the organization was, but he went in to take pictures of people who were, I don't think it was hospice, but involved, cancer patients and things like that for their families. As a donation, he was doing it as a friend. But then he'll turn right around and do amazing things about ballerinas. And we did a rock concert with Steve Morse on our stage and Dave LaRue, and some of the pictures of the two of them in concert. It's just, I mean, he's just really, really top notch at dealing with portraits.
Yeah. We were next to him when we were trying to raise money for the Literacy Council, and one of the portraits he had was Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
And it was so good. It was so good.
Well, that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, in that Carrie Underwood is one of the best in her field. And it takes a certain talent to do that. So, like Randall does a lot of nature photography. Dave does a lot of portraits. Maggie's style is very whimsical. Somebody else's style, Jackie Shindahedi, who we haven't had yet on the wall, but I would love to have. She has a very particular style. So I think that what some of the people that were complaining really wanted was somebody that was a musical theater person.
Yeah.
Because you sing and act at the same time.
Oh, really?
It's not just having this amazing voice. The audience is watching you while you're doing it too.
Exactly.
Right,
So they're
right.
expecting, and a lot of times your response isn't verbal at all. It's body language, whether you're happy with whatever the other character said or upset or sad, because you never stop. And especially when it's live, like they did in this case, and if you're coming to see a show at the theater. Matter of fact, in the rehearsal process, one of the things the director always tells you is that person that's not in the moment, the one that's looking at their shoes or trying to see if somebody they knows out in the audience, that's who everybody ends up looking at, because you are out of character.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you're drawing focus away from what's going on. So, I mean, you have to, it's a skill that people work on, all their lives. You can get a good college degree for a good basis, but the more you do it, the better you are at it. So I wouldn't take anything away from her in her genre, but and I'm sure that there were a lot of people that tuned into it that would have never done it if her name wasn't attached to it. So the producers achieved what they wanted to do in that. You get a big crowd watching.
Interesting.
But anyway, sorry.
So if John Travolta wanted to star in Grease at the Civic Theater, would you let him?
When he first moved to Ocala, that was when we were doing Grease, and I got a call. I was at a conference, and I got a call from a writer from Southern Living that wanted to put a little blurb in Southern Living about him, buying a place in Anthony, and we were getting ready to do Grease, and he said, "So, is John Travolta going to come?"
Oh, no.
We would certainly love to have him be involved.
But he'd be too old for the character now, right?
Right. Well, we were not talking about him, but
Can you imagine
but our
telling
own
him, no,
people,
I'm sorry, you don't make it.
the people that around the theater that want to do it, we jokingly amongst ourselves, not including Mr. Travolta, but joking about it, said that we'd have to do Grease the Reunion.
Right.
Yeah.
But he and Kelly Preston would be amazing in a piece called Love Letters that A.R. Gurney wrote a number of years ago, primarily that's done by celebrities, because it doesn't require a lot of rehearsal where their time commitment, it'd be so you can't expect that they were going to come and rehearse for 6 weeks with you. But it's the story of two individuals told through the letters that they wrote to each other. First one is at like age 10, where the boy was invited to a birthday party or something, and his mom's making him write a thank you note for being invited. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that we've actually done it once here, but that they would be amazing at, because actually both of them, the character ends up being a U.S. senator, and I can see Travolta playing that role.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool.
So yeah, we'd love to.
Talk about name recognition, bringing people into the theater. I mean, that would do it for sure.
Well, and he's been so generous to the community with all the things that he's done to raise money for mainly emergency responders and Boys and Girls Club and stuff like that. I mean, you probably couldn't point to any better residents.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to make this your home, they really have committed to doing a lot of wonderful stuff here.
And so have you, Mary. Thank you for coming in, and I love this interview. It's just so great. The contest, again, you need to, if you want to be part of the I Did, be one of the couples that's been married 50 years or more to the same person.
Yes.
The deadline is
December 20.
December 20th. Okay. Thank you,
we
Mary.
have 2 tickets.
Oh, we have 2 tickets for
Yes.
I do.
I Do. Yes.
All right, so 2 tickets for I do. Call right now, 622-9622, and if you get through first, then you get the 2 tickets. And thank you, Mary. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much for inviting me.
We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back.
On December 21st, join us for the WOCA Jingle Ball, an evening at the Appleton Museum. From 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., come enjoy the beautiful collection of colorful trees, nutcrackers, and countless decorations throughout the Appleton